Okay, I'm going to start right now. Okay, are you recording? Oh, yep, the little red lights up there. Okay, guys, I am doing a miracle for Shelly Nelson. I am actually training live, and I'm on Zoom at the same time. This is pretty good for a grandma to be able to do this kind of thing. And I actually kind of forgot that I was doing you guys on live, but then I remembered, oh yes, I did say yes to that. So, but you got to write things down. So here's what I'm talking about. You guys on the multiple nations over here have been kind of doing stuff through Dare to Dream, Work to Win, right? Hey, Jess. Hey, Beth. And so this actually fits perfect with anybody who's involved in network marketing. And I love to be reminded constantly of all the skills that are needed and just the mindset. Why is that there? Okay, okay, there we go. Just the mindset that we need to have when we are an entrepreneur in network marketing. And so, you think about network marketing and it's really a different mindset. How many of you have ever homeschooled a child? I homeschool my kids, and I will tell you that like something snapped inside of me that I began to think in a different mindset of what was possible even with education instead of just the status quo. And the same thing happened with network marketing. Like you start getting a different mindset instead of the one that you were trained to be in. And so Dr. Barrett talks about two groups. There's Planet Normal that goes to school or they get a trade and they continue on and in life and they just do everything that they're supposed to do until the day of retirement, and they're hoping they save enough money, blah, 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 the whole life. We all know it. And then there's network marketers who are daring to step out of the normal, right? And so I think that if you don't work and you don't eat is a principle that's going to be there no matter if you're in network marketing or if you are in the other life. But I just say why we work in the real life is because we do have to afford our living. And I think, when Jeff went to college and became an engineer, he knew what kind of money that he kind of wanted to make, and how he chose his profession was he was good at math. He had a friend that was going in engineering, and there was a need for engineers at the time. Thank you. It's RE9. Somebody said my skin looks gorgeous. It is RE9, and it is really quite a good product. And Carlita, I've been looking at you, and I'm thinking, what in the heck? Her hair is amazing, and she's looking younger and younger. But what was interesting is that once Jeff chose his job as an engineer, then the job chose our lifestyle, if you know what I mean. He knew the salary he was going to make, and so we had to budget our lives according to that salary, and that's determined what kind of house we could afford, what grocery budget we had. I mean, every little thing, you guys. And honestly, a lot of us do not do so good at staying in that budget. We like those payments. We think, ooh, I can do that payment, but then the payment gets bigger than what the budget feels comfortable with. And so network marketing comes along and it helps us to be able to do something to be able to get out of that confinement, so to say. And I think that it's so amazing to me, like doing so many presentations, why people feel that they can never get out of, they cannot get out of doing what they're doing. They feel like they're confined to that forever. And, I think that people who dream, like I was thinking about my dad who worked in the power company forever as the storeroom manager. And yet he saved up enough money to be able to sell our house that was a 6-year-old nice house and buy this 100-year-old farmhouse and fix it up because he had a dream to give my sister and I horses, and he wanted to raise some cows. Now, a lot of people would never take that risk and to go from brand new to something old to be able to build up and get better. But my dad did. And I think that people who are willing to step out a little bit and make life a little uncomfortable in the beginning are going to find a lot more freedom in what they do. When you're a risk taker, you're constantly seeking new, right? You're like that thrill seeker. But when you are in a safe mindset, you're typically very predictable person, and you like that predictability. I remember my aunt said one time, oh, Shelly's business isn't going to last very long because, there's no job security in that. And I have met so many people who've been let go from corporate jobs. And I'm like, Aunt Rena, where's the job security in that? I mean, where's the job security that she just couldn't imagine that I would be able to have security somewhat in a business. And to be honest, there's no security in anything, you guys. That's laid up in heaven one day. I think the biggest thing that that messes with people in this business is these two time zones. We have this bureaucratic time zone, which is definitely more structured. You know what your hours are. You know when and how many weeks of vacation you're going to get. You know what kind of money you're going to make. That's like all laid out for you, right? And then there's entrepreneurial time, and it's way different. I mean, when I first started Arbonne, my very first check was $3. And I was working hard all month, you guys. We don't have the same thing now. I just launched a girl last month, and her first check as a consultant was $478. I'm like, what? How do you make that kind of money as a consultant? Well, we have a different pay structure, and she's doing rock and rolling and starting people, and it's just really good. But to Jeff, it was like, wait a minute. Like, you just did 8 presentations. You bought some products. You have been spending every single night on that computer and reading books, and you made $3 after all that effort. And so to him, it was like, that is not worth it. And so I think that's the mindset that a lot of people have. And we instead want to associate our time that we put into something with immediate return, right? And that's just not the way network marketing is. So I think, you could say to somebody when they first start out, hey, where else could you work? Like Tom Barrett says, where else could you put 100 hours of time in and make nothing for it? Well, a farmer can do that, but not people who are working a real job. My son, Daniel, is a musician, and and Beth knows this with her son, Benny, and all the time that he put in on videoing things.
I'm going to come in by Shelly for a second.
Wait a minute. This is like Carlita and Beth Gallardi and Beth Lomas here.
Oh.
And well, you might as well say hi to Emily. She lives in my house.
Hi, everybody. Oh, say hi to everybody on my nation.
Well, hi. Say hi. Make them say hi to everybody. We've got everybody connected tonight, guys. Isn't that fun? There's Beth Gallardi.
Hi, Beth Gallardi.
Okay.
Are you doing the training?
Yes.
You want to train them?
Who is it?
This is my team. Heidi Windart.
Okay, fine.
So guess what, ladies?
You're getting a new training.
You get Shelly Nelson, ENVP.
Oh,
Cheers,
man.
team. Just put you here. I'll put it right here.
Oh, that's a very bad angle.
My team is going to be so thrilled. Hi, Shelly.
Okay, you guys are learning on entrepreneuring, so you're lucky you get to get on this ticket. Okay, so anyway, like John Maxwell. John Maxwell, how many speeches did he ever get before he was paid? How many books did he write that never got published? I know, like for Daniel, he has been practicing guitar since he was 14 years old, and now he is 25 years old, and he's just starting to really get into some paid gigs, which is cool. He made $100 here and $100 there, but I'm a little intimidated. There's a lot of people, and you guys really have a bad angle. I am so sorry. It's not good. I'm going to have to stand up straighter like this. Sheesh. This is beyond my comfort zone, I'm just going to tell you right now. But the big thing is, I remember when Daniel said he wanted to go into music, my mama heart knee-jerk reaction was going to be, oh, but Dan, musicians don't make it. You're not going to make any money with that. And I bit my tongue because I thought, how dare I squelch somebody's dream, especially when he worked so hard and he had such great talent. And so instead, I just said, okay, but you got to be smart about it. Like, you can't be living on the streets and trying to be a musician. You need to have a job that's going to pay for your family, and then you work until you work out of that job. And isn't that what we do with network marketing, you guys? We don't just like take a big leap out of where we're making money and then move into something else. We just don't do that. So I remember one of the things that's really important is to have that clear vision. Dan had that clear vision. Benny has a clear vision of what he wants to be. How many of you have a clear vision what you want to do with your business? When I got back from Areas in Paradise and I heard Linda Parker say, I remember when I wanted to envision, when I could picture 7 Mercedes. And I thought, 7's a good number. I could picture 7 Mercedes. And I went back to my little team. There weren't many of them. And I'm like, you guys, and we were sitting outside a Drifter's restaurant. I mean, it's like the dumpiest restaurant you'd never want to go into. And we're sitting there, and I'm talking with my Upper Peninsula team. And I'm like, you guys, I can picture 7 Mercedes outside of Drifter's restaurant one day. And it's gonna rock and roll Escanaba, Michigan, because then nobody had Mercedes. You just did a call from Carlita Parker. That's awesome. And you know what's so cool, you guys, is that her vision and the reality that it happened to her was transferred to me to let me know that one day I was going to have that reality. And then as soon as I hit 7, I'm like, 40. I can picture 40. And I remember when we hit 40, I'm like, I can picture 100. And then when you picture 100, you're like, holy smokes, like the next one is 500. The next one's 500. And so where is your dream? Because you guys, you cannot ever accomplish anything until you can picture it, and you've got to see it. It's like building a house. Em and Pat are building a house right now, and they've got the house plans. And last night Emily was sitting at the table with the girls, and she's like, look here's your bedroom, and your walls are like this, and this is the kind of wallpaper. And they were like getting into their house plan, and it was just like lines on a paper. And so I think it's so neat that we have that ability to dream and to vision and to plan. And I think one of the most important things in every single area of life is to be in a resource state. Kathy Lutz was the one that I heard do a training once that said, what matters most is what you do when you're down. And man alive, if you're down, you guys, think about the time when you just had a fight with your spouse and you're down. What matters most is that next second, because our tendency is to get more ticked off, to have a bigger pity party for ourselves, and then to cause this huge division, right? We don't want to do that. Instead, you can go, okay, wait a minute. I did marry this person. I said, for better or worse, for richer or poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. And right now, death would not be such a bad thing. But instead, we go, we're on the same team. And then we got to work really hard to be on the same team and to be on the offense together instead of being on the defense constantly. And you guys, you're going to find in all of life, you're going to get to a point where you're going to believe that almost everything can be done. Like I think that if I dream something, it can happen. In fact, I'm a bigger dreamer than Jeff. And I said, I would like to have a screened-in porch, like a 3-season room off of my dining room door. I want to blast out that wall and make it a bigger wall. I just like lots of light and lots of outside. And Jeff's like, no, it can't be done. And I said, so if I called a contractor and I told him what I would like to do, he would say, no, it can't be done, or would he figure out a way to do it? And he's like, all right, I get it. So yes, things can be done. It's just a matter of, are you willing to do it to get it done, right? I'm going to show, so just be in the solution mindset. You know that little page on Dare to Dream, Work to Win where it talks about the whole funnel system? I love that one. You know, being in a resource state of mind, you're going to see challenges as possibilities instead. And, you know, Carlita has said it forever. And I used to get like frustrated because she's like, you know, activity fixes everything. But, you know, if you don't have a party, it's because you don't want it bad enough. And I didn't like to hear that, honestly. But it's absolutely true. And Emily said something recently. She said, the only parties that cancel are the ones you don't want to hold. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Because sometimes you're just tired and you really don't care if that party cancels, or you don't really want to go through the motions to be able to get to do the work to be able to keep things in and going. So anyway, it's all true. What you take care of, where you put the excellence is going to show up every single time. Where we get lazy, where we start cutting corners is going to show up just as quick. And that is the absolute truth. So read on page 60 of Dare to Dream, Work to Win, and you can see the difference between in this mindset of being a resource and being one that is going to always have roadblocks. So here's a little funnel. See that little funnel? I love this funnel. I love making juice. I love, like, you know, I have another one that has a bigger opening that I pour soup and I put it into a jar. And instead of trying to slop all over, it's the big that's pouring into the little. But do you know that our business and every single area of life starts out in a funnel? Because a lot of people, you can get a lot of stuff in here. And this down here filters down to just be a slow trickle. And when you think of this funnel, think about that. So many people get excited about this business. They're anxious to be able to try it, to book a couple parties. And then all of a sudden it's like, that's a little hard. You know, I was reading, you know, the 3 stages of the funnel. Like, ooh, sounds fun and exciting. I'm daring to dream. And then this middle of is I'm willing to do what it needs to be done down here. And then right here to see the job through. And you know, since I'm where I'm at right now in my business, I think the see the job through is actually maxing out the ROM compensation plan. And that like hurt a little bit. It's not just getting to a title, it's seeing the job through, doing our best. And so everybody, like I said, dares to dream and then willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Well, what's your level of success that you're stopping at? And should you be stopping at it? I mean, you're right, Danielle. Let's all see the job through. And I'll tell you what, I have a whole new vision of why we need to see the job through, because I know the people that are on this business. Like, I'm out for a campaign. If I could, I'd run for president right now, because I'm on this like crazy campaign of all of you people who are women of integrity, men of integrity, who know how to do this business, how to do it well and not give people the shafts, and are caring people, and you have things to offer to other people. We need to make successful businesses so we have a voice, because we need to make the bigger impact instead of just having a flash in the pan that's trying to make money. We want to make something that is stable, you guys. And so if you've lost your why, like, get a bigger thing. Get a bigger thing and think about all of us and the whole entire company, where we're going to be continuing to go global, and the impact that you're going to have on this world, not just in the United States. And join me in that vision. It's so big for me that I can't hardly see straight. It's truly the Esther mindset of you've been elevated for such a time as this. And I think that we have to be really good stewards with what we have, and we need to be consistent, and we have to stop being weenies, and we have to keep working to the point that we can actually inspire and help other people. So anyway, enough of that one. I will tell you that one of the things that top incomers do, and I remember Beth Gallardi, when you were, you had a couple parties to book, and you wanted to go to your favorite restaurant. And so Vince was like, okay, you book those couple parties and we'll go have your favorite steak or whatever in your restaurant. He probably wouldn't take you out for steak now, but take your favorite restaurant. And so you booked it because you didn't want to be cooking at home. You guys, that's playing games. I remember, who was it? I can't remember her name, but anyway, she had to fill her calendar up. And so what she would do is set the timer for 5 minutes of cleaning, and she'd run around like a crazy woman cleaning, and then 5 minutes of calling, and 5 minutes of cleaning, and 5 minutes of calling. And by noon, she had all her parties booked and her house was clean, because it was a game. Nothing was drudgery. It was like beat the clock. And so I think we can do that. Melissa Mercer, my sister-in-law, I adore her steadfastness, her discipline, her consistency. And she's like, Shelly, I got to fill my calendar up. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm going to book one party a day, and I have to do it every single day. I don't care if it takes me all month until I get this calendar full. I'm like, I don't get to stop calling in the day until I have one party booked. And so she would keep working, calling, reaching out to different people. Boom, she'd get a party booked. And she'd be like, yay, now I can go do other things. Now you might get on a roll and want to keep going more, but that's what she did. And so I think we just have to learn to be a little bit tougher bosses on ourselves. Typically we all love ourselves so much that we want to give ourselves comfort. We want to sleep in a little extra. I will tell you, I'm the first one. I don't want to work out with Basamba. I mean, I've got it all. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. You don't want to be hungry. You don't want to exercise. You don't want to book parties. You don't want to lose sleep. You don't want to make yourself have to miss out on the fun things sometimes. We love ourselves way more than we need to. And instead, we need to think others-minded and think about our families a little bit, right? Yeah, stop being weenies. You are absolutely right, Andrea. But here's the other part, is we got to be the biggest grace givers to other people. Because remember what we do? We teach and train other people how to be an independent consultant. We are not bosses. And I don't know if you guys have ever worked at church and you've run a army of volunteers. I have. And one of the things that, in order to have somebody be a volunteer of something, number one, there has to be a need for them. Because if I showed up to something and I was volunteering for it and it was a waste of my time, I wasn't going to do that. So it's really showing people that they're needed and cared for. The other thing is that I needed to know what I was doing. And the other one was I could not be a stinker to people or be demanding upon them. I had to be grateful and appreciative of everything that they were doing. And so when you have a team, that's where we need to be. And I'll tell you one thing that's really important in just a second, because here's one other thing I'm going to tell you. Hang around the like-minded people, but hang around like-minded people that have achieved what you are striving to achieve. And you know why? Because if you hang around people that are at your exact same level, you're all going to encourage each other to stay at the exact same level, or you're going to start going backwards. I've seen it happen way too many times. I was just talking with a different team, and they said, yeah, we're an accountability group of area managers all together. And I said, how long have you been doing that? And they said, about a year. And I said, awesome. So how's that working for you? And I said, have you gained like volume? Are you growing bigger teams? Or are you at the same level? And they said, well, we're all right at the same level. I'm like, yay. Stop. You don't want to be at the same level. It'd be like having your high school track team all coach each other who are at the same level. You need to have the track coach who's experienced it, who knows how to coach, right? And so that's what we need to do, is we need to be hooked up with the people who've gone before us. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I am so sick to death of hearing is like, well, we both started at the same time. I don't need her to coach me anymore. Well, you know what? That's not what it's about. It's not about starting at the same amount of time. It's like what Dr. Barrett talks about is the flight hours that are involved. So just keep learning. One of the things that I think is really important is to learn. Oh, here it is. Here's like your $1 million thing for tonight. And this is going to help you not to ever lose district managers ever again. You ready? And I'll talk a little bit about it at the very end. We have to learn, because we have all these people who are coming from a bureaucratic timetable. Everything is set in stone. We get paid for what we put into. Now into entrepreneurial, where it messes your whole life up, right? When we start out a new person, and I know there's a lot of you on here that have a new baby. I was observing a mama this weekend. There was a retreat at my house, and she had a new baby, and that baby was consuming her time. Like, how dare it, right? She came to have a retreat, and this baby would cry. It would want to be fed. It would want to have a diaper change in the most inconvenient times. Isn't that amazing? That's what Arbonne is like, you guys. You have a life that is all full, and it's like giving birth to something new you've just brought into your family. And guess what? After you talk to a mama, like I see Shannon over here on Emily's team, when you first have that new baby that you added to your 2 other daughters, it took up a whole lot of time. But now you see Shannon, it's like old hat, no problem. I can handle these 3 kids all of a sudden. Because what happened is she developed a new rhythm. And so in Arbonne, we have to help people to develop a new rhythm. And the rhythm has to have margins in it, flexibility, room to be able to move back and forth and not to be so rigid. So when I'm I've been launching some new girls this past month, and I said, listen, I want you to write down for the next 3 months, and I want you to do 2 things. I want you to go backwards, and I want you to look at your past 3 months and to look realistically when you could have fit in 8 to 12 spa parties in the last 3 months. And they go back and they do that because they actually see that, oh, even though I felt busy and I had birthday parties, I had weddings, and I went on family vacation, I still could have fit those in. And then I say, now I want you to copy September, October, November. I want you to write in all your family vacations, any holidays, your work schedule, and then put in the Wednesday night calls every Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern time. And then I want you to put a little dot into every place where you possibly could do a party. And I said, try to get 15 or 20 dots because we want to be able to be flexible and match up dates with the people's dates, right? That's the first part of having a good rhythm, is learning to be flexible instead of being so rigid. And then the next thing we have to do is we have to teach people how to be flexible with cancellations, with all of a sudden a last minute call being put in, with all of a sudden somebody who needs help from us that we're starting our team. And you guys, if you will teach a new district manager how to have a new rhythm and to develop that new rhythm, it's not going to feel like Christmas every month. I mean, I think of December. Think of December. December, we spend a whole lot of money. We spend a whole lot of extra dates and times. And by the end of it, we're like, oh, Christmas vacation is done, right? Well, guess what? When we start a new district manager, it feels like December to them because they've just added extra money out of their budget, time that they didn't have before, more events that are in. And if they do not learn how to incorporate that new thing, that new baby into their lifestyle and develop that new rhythm, they're going to feel like, I can't handle a Christmas month another month in a row. And so you guys, give a lot of insight into people. Hang on to their hand for a long time. Teach them. Like if you look at my calendar is full of all of Josie's calendar, of her parties and her new business builders parties and my own parties. And I write down every little thing. And I'm like, okay, Josie, here's where you want to send I even made the red stamps in the first month, you guys. And now it transitioned with her. It's like what Crystal said at our retreat, where we have the piggyback stage and then the wobble stage, and then we have the high five stage. In the beginning, we're just carting everybody around. And then pretty soon we're helping people to toddle and not fall. And then eventually we're walking side by side and we're high-fiving each other as we're working our business. You got this thing, and oops, you could lose a little adjustment here. So I think some of the things we have to do when we're helping people is to help them understand that even though it looks effortless, it's going to take a little work, right, guys? Why does it look effortless? Because you put a lot of time and energy into it. And so, I mean, I had a lady one time who handed me, I had a few times, but one lady in particular handed me her resume. And she had heard me do a Discover Arbonne, and she was starting Arbonne, and she handed me her resume, and she's like, I am going to whiz past you because you were a stay-at-home mom. You didn't have any kind of experience, and I've been working in corporate for a lot of years. And she bought her whole district volume, and that was the end that I saw of her. She even brought me a Red Bull trying to schmoo me for this. I'm like, I don't need your resume. That's not have any clout with me. It does not matter what you've done in the past. You could have just got out of jail and have a clear slate now. It didn't matter to me, I told her. I said, what matters is what you do when you sign your name on the dotted line. And so, yep, you probably have a lot more experience than me, but I want to encourage you to be in the apprenticeship mode and learn something new, because it's a whole different set of skills. So you guys, in page 72 of Dare to Dream, Work to Win, it says there's so many different expectations that you know your financial expectations are in need of being adjusted if. And you guys read through that page if you don't have it. But basically, you thought you could work this business on a part-time basis and receive full income right away. Not going to happen. How many people get to go to college, and while they start their first semester of college, they're making an engineering salary? Not true. Doesn't happen. How many doctors get to start making a doctor's salary the first semester they start in school? Doesn't. So we've got to pay our dues a little bit and learn some things. It's not going to ever be from luck, ever. It's not going to ever be from luck. It's going to be from hard work. I loved when you said you thought that simple was the same as easy. It's not. This is a very simple business. You think about it compared to raising a child, compared to going to engineering school, compared to a lot of things. this is a very simple business, but it's not easy. It's not easy. You thought you could build this business and never leave your comfort zone. You guys, I tell people I built my business scared. I built it scared. I was chicken with every little thing. I had dread and worry about every little thing that I ever did. And I did it anyway, because I knew that in order to go from here to over there, something had to be different. And so you guys, when you are, when you're thinking about this business and the different stages that are people going to go through, Dr. Barrett talks about that we need to have consistent effort and duplication and then giving enough time. But before we can have any of that, we have to have the right amount of activity. And it really is a whole new way of thinking. And it really is about us being really good at keeping the dream, keeping the vision in front of other people, and knowing what it is that they want to talk to and what they want to work for. They have to know that when they come back from a party. I had one this past month with Josie, and I'm like, Josie, not one party booked, not one sale. Don't you hate that? And that's what it was. And I said, see why it's so important to do hostess coaching and to get new people in there. See why it's so important to have enough activity that we're like, oh, well, that's not a big deal. We still have more activity. We're gonna hit this thing regardless of that cancellation. And so, when we are coming alongside somebody and teaching them that, it can be like what Legina taught me when she's like, how was your party? And I'm like, I drove 4 hours and I didn't do anything, and I got to drive 4 hours back. And she would be like, good training. And I'd be like, yep, it was a good training party. And eventually that's what I'd say. When she'd say, how was your party? I'm like, well, I had some really good training tonight. And that's what I said to Josie, because I said, you get to practice how to put a smile on your face, even though you wanted to sit in a puddle and cry. You get to practice doing your presentation. And I said, the cool thing was about that party is by the time I got home, one of the girls texted and said, I just talked to my husband and he said, I need to do this business. So sometimes the results don't happen there, but they might be in the makes for on down the road. So I think one of the other things is really important is not to quit. And I will tell you one little side note of this, you guys. I tell people right from the beginning, there's a difference between being a consultant and being a true business builder. And some people do not love to hear this, but a business builder is really working hard to duplicate and bring on new business builders. A consultant is basically selling products and getting new presentations. And in the beginning of my business, I was a consultant. I did not have one business builder. For the first 5 months, I booked parties, I sold products. I booked parties, I sold products. And I had people sign up for the discount, but that was it. And the next 5 months, I worked and got in qualification for area and then qualification for regional vice president. And the only thing that was different was my mindset, that I was out building a business and teaching other people how to build a business. And so if you guys have a consultant that does 1 to 5 parties, don't make them be frustrated by teaching them how to go in to qual for something, because it's not going to be enough to get them in qualification. Instead, teach them how to sign up preferred clients so they can make a little paycheck. And that's what I say. If you don't have enough activity, I'm going to teach you how to build with preferred clients. And don't expect to make a ton of money, but man, 10 years from now, you might be making a decent paycheck. But you're going to have to really do customer service. But if you are interested in building a business, it is going to take you having a mindset of teaching and training. I met with a girl yesterday, and she's a clinical nurse or whatever, where she teaches other nurses. And I think this is one of the things we have to do, is learn to speak to other people. That's part of duplicating, is speak to them in their language. We talk in Arbonne language and nobody gets it. But when you can say, like I said to her, what do you do as a clinical nurse? And she's like, well, I teach other nurses how to be nurses. I'm like, you do Arbonne. You just don't get paid for an Arbonne business, do you? You just get paid a salary. And she said, yes. And I said, right. So what we do in Arbonne is we learn our trade really well, and then we teach other people how to do the same thing. Same thing with a teacher. What do you do as a teacher? Oh, I teach other little students, and I'm bringing them from point A to point B. That's what we do in Arbonne. So when you are speaking, and Josie is a Mercedes-Benz salesperson. I said, Josie, what do you do? what's your ultimate goal? She said, to help people get into a Mercedes. And I said, how do you do that? I figure out how it's going to work within their budget, which car that they are interested in, and I help them, get that car. I'm like, and then you educate them how to operate the thing. Like, that's Arbonne. That's what we do. So if we understand that, you guys, it's really going to make it a whole lot easier. I think that helping people in the very beginning to hit what they need. Like Emily, I remember in the beginning, she quit her 3 cleaning jobs as soon as she made an income, as soon as she had a commission check for that to make up that money. She was done with that. She didn't want those 3 jobs. Melissa Mercer needed $350 to be able to pay for her son's tuition. And she said, Shelly, I will never not make that $350. I can do it. And then she hit 500, and then it started growing. And she's like, now I can see where I can pay off my husband's business credit card. Now I can see that we're going to be able to be okay, even if my husband loses one of his customers. And so you guys think about that our goal is to help people reach their goal. And it always has to do with finances. And that's when you're going to start seeing that people say, oh, this just might be worth it. That's the second stage. In the beginning, you're saying, this is not worth it. $3 after all that work, that is not worth it. But then you start making what you needed, that first level of my need. And you go, you know what? I think this is worth it. And then when you start getting to a point, and for me, actually, the $5,000 mark, when I started making that, I thought, I am not worth that. I am not worth that. $5,000, that's way a lot of money. And now it's like crazy amount. Then it just becomes monopoly money, actually. The other little last thing, and then I'll finish up here, you guys, for duplication, learning how to duplicate people. Honestly, I've run my whole business as a mama. I did not understand business, but I know how to raise children. I know how to take them from infancy to adulthood. And my goal, because I was mentored by a lady who said, Shelly, our job is not to make our children's life happy. Our job is to help them to be productive, good people. And yes, they're going to make their own minds up along the way, but they need to be equipped with things. And so think about this. You get this new little baby, and it's time for them to, I started very young. To teach my children how to teach themselves to go to sleep, because Heidi was the baby that I would rock, and I would lay her down in the crib, and I'd pat, and try to pat less, and tippy toe out, and I'd walk away, and then, wah, and I'd start all over again. And I'm like, this is for the birds. There has got to be a different system for this. And so I learned. Now there's a book called Baby Wise that's so nice out there. It teaches you how to do it, but to teach that babies actually know how to put themselves to sleep, and it's a big favor that we do for them. That's the beginning of teaching. I can remember when babies got to the stage that they were like, wanting things, I would do, talk nice. And that's just little trainings. And then potty training. They don't even know what kind of sensation they need to have to be able to be potty trained. I had to have it in my schedule. So I'm thinking, okay, if I can get a kid to not be in diapers till they're 15 years old, I could help somebody do Arbonne. If I can teach them how to homeschool, that is how simple my brain was. I'm just saying. And it's just teaching. I can teach somebody that I have learned to do. My mom taught me. I taught my kids. I can teach somebody else. And so part of it is schedules and routining and learning to listen and repetition, having patience, and it being my mindset of what I wanted to disciple and to train them with, right? And so if you guys can learn that same thing and to explain just what I did in word pictures so that they are understanding the Arbonne language, oh my goodness, it's going to be so much, if they're going to be able to grasp it. And I think the very last thing is we need to stop just teaching somebody how to get to 2,500 and be done with it. We really need to be teaching people how to grow an area. And so that's what I have drawn so many circle charts again with Josie this month. And I'm like, Josie, here's what happened. Your Pat just signed up, and look at Pat signed up Tracy. Well, guess what? When you become a district, you're not going to get paid off of Tracy unless you have another person direct to you. So she's gaining that understanding. And how are you going to do that? By your own presentations. How are you going to help Pat? How are you going to help Tracy? It's just constantly learning to teach another person to be successful. So I know that's way too long, but you guys, area managers, help them to develop areas, and then they're going to teach all of their directs to develop areas. So you go out and do it. Don't think that you're all good with everything. Just keep developing areas and being that person who's extremely patient and extremely kind, and understanding that people get the gist of this business when they get the gist of this business. I mean, all of a sudden your potty trainer is going potty by themselves, right? And you're done, and they run all by themselves. And